Good afternoon, everybody. My name is miahtheking, and let's be honest, I'm not totally useless. After all, I can always be used as a bad example. Now then, today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam called Mahokenshi. At least I think that's how it's pronounced. I hope I'm saying that right. Anyway, it was developed by GameSource Studio and published by Iceberg Interactive, a turn-based strategy RPG game that was not released in early access and is selling for $25 American dollars. Oh, and did I mention that it was card deck building based? I feel like I left that out. Anyway, so look, I'm not gonna lie, this game is a bit different from what I normally do. Hell, it's a bit different from anything I've ever really played in my life in terms of video games. Now, sure, I know there are tons of strategy deck building games out there. Hell, I actually did play one some time ago. It was that Witcher one. You know which one I'm talking about? Thronebreaker, the Witcher Tales, that one. Anyway, normally these aren't really my cup of tea, and I tend to avoid them because, well, when it comes to luck in video games, I've got the worst of it. And deck building, deck playing, deck strategy games are always based on luck, so, you know, I mean, sure, there's some strategy there too, not gonna lie, but it's about 50% luck and 50% strategy, and for me, it's 0% luck and 50% strategy, so I normally just shy away from those games. Now, in this game, there are 4 islands, right? And each holds a powerful clan: Jade, Ruby, Sapphire, and Topaz. Your job is basically to restore order to these 4 islands and bring the 4 clans together to defeat an ancient enemy that has returned. And that's the whole story. Doesn't really get much more involved than that, which to me is a little problematic, but we'll address that later. In this game, you have a grid board level by level system where you have to traverse the grid, defeat your enemies with the cards you randomly draw each turn, because it is turn-based, I don't know if I mentioned that, all while trying to accomplish some main objective. That's pretty much the gist of the game. However, if you'd like to learn more, then please continue watching. Also, consider supporting my channel too. I mean, it'd be really nice of you. After all, it costs you nothing, but it grants me a ton, so why not do something nice for little old me? Like, comment, and subscribe. Takes 10 seconds, okay? Alright, thank you. Now then, on to the positives of this game. So, I think what hit me first that I really liked and continued to like as I was playing was the music. I mean, it is so thematic and perfect for every situation you'll find yourself in. Cutscene, menu, level, combat, I mean, the music is always perfect, and I wanted to make special mention of it. Then you've got the sound effects, and boy golly do they sound perfect too. I mean, I haven't been as impressed with sound effects like this in a really long time. And the game even has voice acting in every cutscene, which is also super nice. While it might not be the best voice acting I've ever heard, it's not bad either, and it was at least interesting enough to keep me entertained and engaged. Then you've got the graphics. Now, the game, it is lacking a little bit in its sharpness, but it doesn't shy away from the attention to detail, the color contrast, or the overall art design. I mean, it's definitely very different, but in a good way. I actually enjoyed looking at the game, and it never hurt my eyes or made my eyes uncomfortable, so that's always good too. Plus, the animations are pretty spot on, looking really good and smooth, so no complaints there either. Next is the gameplay, and this one's going to be a little bit because I got a lot to say about the gameplay. So the gameplay for this deck building card game was actually pretty awesome. I mean, I hate games like this because of the card luck system, as I mentioned earlier, but in this game, it's done in such a way that the luck isn't as big of a deal here. You're only given a few cards at a time, and only a few cards in a deck, period, which greatly decreases the chances of you getting a bad draw. And then as you progress, you get to pick and choose new cards on each level, so you can only further increase your chances of getting a good card that you might need or that you can use for whatever. So this even further decreases the bad luck chance and gives you a more smooth, enjoyable gameplay experience. The gameplay also includes leveling trees, talismans, and gold. Each of these things you can use to improve your overall combat prowess throughout the game, letting you pick what fits your playstyle better. And that's not all. You eventually will unlock new characters, up to 4 I believe, and each comes with their own whole new set of cards and combat styles. So if you find one of these 4 that you like more than the others, you can level them up and make them stronger, and then go further by customizing what cards, skills, or talismans they are using to make them even more fitting of your playstyle. Now what this does is it allows you to play the game the way you want to make it more fun or challenging or just different in almost any way you can think of. For instance, I unlocked the Sapphire Samurai, I think. That's the blue one, right? Anyway, he plays more defensively with, he increases his armor with almost every other card. Now, this is definitely catered more to my particular playstyle, so I'll probably end up playing with him as I progress because I enjoyed it more than playing with the Ruby Samurai, which is who you start out with. See what I mean? But we're not done with the gameplay yet. On the grid, there are tons of collectibles and interactables for you to mess with. Healing potions, new card drawings, gold, towns, temples that give you different opportunities or bonuses. So the maps themselves, no matter how challenging, give you what you need to progress and customize yourself further. And if you feel like the game might be moving too slowly for you, it even has a speed up button so everything moves faster, which for me at least was greatly appreciated. And boy, oh boy, this game is definitely strategic, even with the cards. I mean, what you're watching right now is me using strats, okay? I was on this one level, and I really had to think and adapt to my situation. I mean, I was surrounded, I was overwhelmed, and I was using a character at level 1 while my other character was at level 3, so I was at my weakest. So I had to adapt and overcome, and you'll watch in this little clip that I have here of me just trying to stay alive and get to my objective, which I had to seal like 3 portals or something because goblins kept coming out of them, whatever. The point is, just because it's a card game, don't you worry about the strategy and tactics. It is definitely there, as this clip and my word will hopefully be enough to convince you. But yeah, I wasn't sure it was going to be until I was at this level, and I had to get my armor up and lower the enemy armor and do whatever I could to use my cards the best way to give me the best situation. So yeah, no worries there. Okay, so I could keep going on with the gameplay, and there's a lot more that I could talk about, and I probably should, but we need to move on. There's just a lot there that I can't tell you all of it. If you're really interested, you're just going to have to play it and see the rest of the gameplay yourself. But needless to say, the gameplay was great. I was having a lot of fun. So to try and shorten this video, I'm going to combine 3 points into the positives so I can move on to the negatives. The tutorial, price, and stability of the game. The game was stable, never crashed, froze, or bugged out on me. The tutorial was done in a story mode kind of fashion, teaching you the game while also progressing the story, which is how they should be done in my own personal opinion, and it never overwhelmed me, and it simply taught me everything that I needed to know in a quick, sufficient fashion that was easy to understand. And finally, the price. With the graphics, sound, gameplay, stability, and voice acting, that price tag is incredibly appropriate. Hell, I think they should probably increase the price to $30 maybe, considering everything you're getting here. And I hope that this game lasts longer than 4 hours, but it looks like it might. It's hard to tell. If not, that might explain why it's $25. But as of time of recording, I'm really hopeful that the price tag is appropriate, considering everything that's being included there. Okay? Now, on to the negatives, because this video is already getting too long for my liking. The first negative that comes to my mind is the story. It's severely lacking and vague. 4 islands, not going to name them though, just celestial islands, and a world of peace above the clouds, which are protected by 4 samurai houses that I mentioned earlier on those islands. But why? When? Who? Where? Above the clouds? Why? When is this? Who are these clans and why are they doing what they're doing? Is this heaven or is it not heaven? Is this a fantasy fictional world? I mean, there's goblins, so is it? If it is, then being celestial islands doesn't really mean much. You can't make me assume that it's heaven if there's fantasy stuff here. Hell, even when the bad guys show up, they just tell you that it's an ancient enemy without any other information. An ancient enemy has returned, so go get them. Like, there's no real story here. It's all just vague. Good guy samurais are supposed to join together to defeat evil. I mean, it's lackluster, it's boring, and when I first went into the game and I was hearing this, I was just like, blah, bored. And it's not even that original either, which is another problem with it. It's not an original concept. A whole lot here, nothing here actually, now that I think about it, is really all that original. I mean, grid combat, that's been done before. Card battling, deck building, been done. Asian theme, been done. Good versus evil, definitely been done. So the whole basic idea of this game is boring, lackluster, and unoriginal. Then you've got this in-between user interface screen with the map or whatever this is. So the in-between of each level looks kind of lazy too. It's ugly, it's boring, it's missing a lot of detail or fine-tuning, and it's so bland. It really sucks because it goes from looking great, vibrant, and interesting to this blah every time you finish a level. So it's inconsistent and a bit ugly. But honestly, that last point is more of a nitpick, but still something I felt I should mention. Overall, the game is still pretty darn good. Although, looking at the overall map after I wrote my script, it does make me fear that the game may only be a few hours long. I mean, if this map is all we have to look forward to, then, well, that's kind of worrying for me when it's charging $25. Now, hopefully the game has a lot more levels to it than what I'm seeing here on this overreaching map, but if not, then this game might not be worth it after all. The point is, though, even with the risk of low playtime, it's still a really interesting game, and it's really a lot of fun, and it's got a lot there, you know? When you're actually in the levels, it's fun. Is it the next big thing you should definitely check out? Well, no, not really, but is it well done and well put together card deck building strategy game with an interesting twist? Yeah, it's not bad. I know I'm kind of all over the place here, guys, but it's just hard for me to review games like this when I don't have a lot of experience. To put it bluntly, I was enjoying myself, and I was getting into it even though it's not my thing. Sure, it has its ugly moments and its boring moments, but for the most part I was having fun and getting into it. It can be a bit challenging, but not impossible. It's fun in a lot of places, and you can see a lot of effort in a lot of places too. So basically, if you like deck building strategy games, you're probably really going to enjoy this one. But if you were hoping for something deep and grand with amazing visuals and story elements, then you're going to be highly disappointed. It's kind of just basic good versus evil. Here's a bland storyline that you can use as an excuse to play this card building game. Overall, I think it's a pretty good game in general, and if you're even remotely interested, then yeah, sure, I'd recommend you give this game a chance, but if not, that's understandable too. So, that's all the time I got for this video, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, or at least found it informative. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.